Last winter, this photo was taken of me with some friends, and we were celebrating over the holidays. And I was shocked at how much of a desert my face looked like. I mean, literally, it looked like there was desertification happening in my skin. And maybe no more than a few to several days later, after I did a lot of self-care and I really cleared myself of that which was obstructing my chi, there was a dramatic difference. And I posted it on Instagram and Facebook, also with the question posed, what do you think were the contributing factors to this sudden aging? You know, it just literally kind of got worse overnight. I mean, I've aged over the years, but overnight it seemed to get really bad. And then it took a little bit longer than overnight for me to reverse the damage. And the way that you see my face right now is because of some old stuff that has come up, and that's part of my answer. So some of you got really close and you said that, you know, it's diet, it's stress, and it's well, stress is everything, right? And everything that goes wrong is caused by stress, but that's not a specific enough answer. That doesn't really help us understand why it attacks a certain area of the body, or why it affects a certain tissue, particularly the skin of the face. So I'm here to answer that question finally. And it's not what you think. It's actually, ready for this? Sadness. Yes, it's an emotion, and a specific one. And why sadness? I was taught in Chinese medicine, which is my background, that sadness is the emotion which affects your lung organ. And if you think about it, the lung organ, by virtue of the internal bronchioles and the mucous membranes, is one continuous tissue with your outside skin. So lung, internal mucous membranes coming out to the body skin. It's all lung. So it's literally like your skin is an organ for respiration. It breathes and it takes in, it eliminates waste through the pores, but it also deposits things on your skin, and it also can't get things to the skin from underneath it if the chi is not ordered, or if it's not behaving in an organized manner, or in a manner that it's supposed to, or it's somehow being thwarted or stagnated. It's not moving as smoothly. And the one emotion that particularly affects the lung is sadness. But sadness has all kinds of nuances to it. And I talk a lot about this to my patients, or I've talked about this with my patients over the years. Sadness is not just losing someone. Sadness is the psychology of abstract loss, missed opportunity, regret, the road not taken. Are you getting what I'm saying? What does that do to your life force? That just, it flows through all the organs, but it gets a little bit held back and stuck in the lung when you can no longer flow with that rhythm of the breath of the lungs, of taking in and letting go, and taking in and letting go. And what happens with grief is that you feel like you've let go of something, or you've been confronted with having to let go of something. And if you're not ready to do that, guess what you do to something that you don't want to let go of? You hold on to it. And in that restraint, you're impeding the flow of your life force. And so grief contracts. Grief causes the posture to change, even. Causes the shoulders to round forward and the chest to be sunken in. I guess I've had that all my life, because I've always been told in dance I need to bring my chest out more. I need to drop my shoulders, move them, pull them back. And it's just this ongoing sadness, or the woe of the world, so to speak. I was always a sensitive soul and a child, and I feel others' pain empathetically. And besides, I have a deep emotional intelligence for the suffering of others. But I think more recently I've had to let go of my earthly root, and that's my father last year, and then before that my mother, and just a lot of people in my life that I felt close to, even before I left the islands, before I left Hawaii. So everyone talks about beauty not being skin deep, and physiologically, medically, that's true, at least in my view. So when it's just like desertification is a really great concept, because we don't really have this close connection to our planet, not at the forefront of our minds. But if you just think about desertification and how you can just run water over it, you can have a monsoon, you can have a flood, and if there isn't enough root to capture that water, literally the cracked earth will just let the water pass right over it. And that's the same thing with all approaches to skincare that you use. Even if they do yield you a visible result, your skin is not getting what it needs from underneath the surface. And so in order for you to dig up roots, so to speak, with your skin, you're going to have to think inside a box that you just don't have the sight for, because you're approaching it from a very consumeristic mindset. Like, what product do I need to fill in the gap? But it's a functional problem. It's a matter of supply and demand. What's happening with grief is that you're consuming whatever you need to get to the skin. Even the flow of fluid itself is getting impeded by that grief and that holding pattern, that not wanting to let go. It's like taking a breath in and just holding it and not being able to let it out in order to let in oxygen again. And so whatever oxygen you use up is a problem, but also the carbon dioxide that you're holding in is a problem. So just like that, waste can't get out, or things can't get just to the surface, and they're trapped. And so when you actually process grief, you free up the chi. Now think about that. Think about everything that we do in our monkey minds to avoid feeling. We're holding up the process. And you just kind of have to go through it. So, especially if you don't have a lot of money for these quick fixes, these cosmetic fixes, which end up making you look kind of unnatural at some point. You just kind of look like you've had work done, on you. Even if you can't afford it, you get enough work done on your face and it looks like you've had work done on your face. It's cheating because it's missing the point. The point is you need to free up that flow. It's tied up in unresolved grief that has not come to maturity of soul and higher conscience. And the maturity is that in feeling it, you're letting it go. It's one part of letting it go. You must feel it, and you must send it with love on the way out. And I'm crying tears of joy now, because this is something that I've always realized, and it's taken me a while to answer that question that I posed to everyone, because the words did not come through for me. And I think that was because I was still in process with my own grief, letting go of the father figure about a year ago. And so even though my skin has definitely aged and I'm still very much catching up, this morning I looked at myself and there was just this expression in my face not of the face, not of the tissues of the face, but there was an expression in my face, and it just made me think about how sad I've been for so long, and how beautiful it is that what freed that was not a cosmetic, it was not a topical, it was not even a treatment. It was just love expressed so innocently and sweetly. I was in a hula class. I posted this, but for some of you that are catching this on YouTube, I was in a hula class which I wanted to take my whole adult life. Finally, I got to do it. And the instructor's son, I was playing with him, and no matter how much I tried to hide it, on some level his being knew that I was sad. And I was telling him something else, just completely lighthearted and unrelated. And he just hugged me. And his mother was beaming with love, just radiating with love, seeing her child be such a healer. And she said, "Oh, he's just so full of love." And I said, "Yes, I can feel that. I can see that." And so I'm not suggesting that only love given to you can heal you. It's the love that you are, and that is within, and that resides in you, and that is active and engaged and cultivated and nurtured by you, that can allow it to grow in such a way that it has to be shared. And that's what hula was for me. It's an outpouring of that love, and it needs to flow from within outwards. A lot of our focus is on bringing it from outside in, but it's that outer direction too that ties up the whole process. If you can't give and share your love, that locks up the grief as well. And so it's not selfish, it's just flow, it's just natural. And that is my gift to all of you to consider when you're grappling with the whole vanity question. And it's the look that is in your face and coming through the eyes that is just as beautifying as all of these products and these treatments and these miracle cures and these promises for quick fixes. But even as you explore those, because I'm not judging, do take the time to heal your broken heart, okay? And know that the stuff of love, which activates and flows through the heart, can never be broken. Not really. But you must let that flow happen, okay? So with all the kindness and love in my heart, go gently on yourself in this process. Seek the company of others who have a deep well of compassion and love. Be around children, animals, nature, and let the tears flow, but know that you are doing the most meaningful, direct approach to healing the grief. And eventually the skin will come around, and I could get into more technical points on my skin, even though overall, I have taken a hit in these last few months, and I look older per se because I'm letting my gray grow. I don't know if you could see it. I'm actually letting my gray grow out now, but I think of it as kind of like streaks of glitter, or I've been very blessed that the color just kind of blends in with the highlights on my black hair already. So it just kind of gives it this weird sable colored, dimensional kind of brown, black, silver. But anyhow, with my skin, these stubborn brown spots, I've been very resistant to trying to use quick fixes. Not because they do not work per se. I mean, some of them really do, and they're really expensive, but like, I want to challenge myself to actually get my body to heal it and be centered as a being, and just be actually healed. So like a lot of these stubborn brown spots, they're there and they're still there, so you might not notice that there's been any difference. But like when I woke up this morning, they actually looks like not smaller because they shrunk, but my skin looked like it was literally like tightening up. And that's because the chi is allowed to flow to it. So it's kind of counterintuitive. Like you think, okay, so like, doesn't your skin, like doesn't the contraction of the emotion, sadness, wouldn't that cause your skin to be firm? No, it stops the chi from, what do you call it? Enervating, if that's a word, enervating the skin. And that's what causes the sag. That topped with other internal physiological issues with your chi flow and other organs as well, but primarily when it relates to the lung and the skin and the body skin, just imagine that chi not, oh well, okay, like take your hand for instance. If I told you to firm it up, you know, you're letting the chi flow, you're ordering, commanding chi to flow through to the fingertips. When I tell you pull back that chi flow, it just kind of limps and sags. So that's kind of like what we're going for. Everyone is only focusing on the material aspect of it, the collagen, you know, the fibers, that network of intercellular matrix, so to speak. Yes, I do also like science. You know, I'm not just an extremist natural purist. So that intracellular matrix, it still has to have chi flow on it to get those little droplets of fluid to kind of drip down the cobwebs and get all the things that it needs to the skin, and then pull all the things it doesn't need away from the skin. So it's all about that fluid, that tide has to come up to the surface to lift when it recedes, to lift away or take away or wash away that which it doesn't need. So this will go in time. It's what I'm seeing first is just that tightening up the skin, because that's letting me know the chi is actually flowing all the way to the surface from underneath, from within. Imagine that. Okay. And it actually has gotten a little bit lighter as compared to, you know, maybe about a year or two ago. So food for thought. And if you make it about the chi, you increase your possibilities of healing. Okay? I think I'm going to use that as a tagline. No. Anyhow, I'm probably going to change it over and over again. I'm just going to keep going until I find the words that resonate and resonate and sink in with you. Aloha.